First, let's get into the next discussion now. The federal government says that current service chiefs will deploy all necessary force to deal with terrorists and bandits terrorizing some parts of the country. National Security Advisor Major General Monguno has also ruled out the possibility of government negotiating with criminals, saying that doing that will suggest weakness and incapacity on the part of government. The NSA further declared that the federal government will not engage mercenaries in its fight against insurgents and other forms of insecurity in the country. This is what we'll be talking about in the next couple of minutes. And joining me from our Abuja studio is security consultant Commodore Abimbola Yuba, retired. Commodore, it's good to have you join me this morning. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Good morning.
Right. Now, the National Security Advisor has come out to he has come out to make statements that is giving Nigerians some level of confidence and some level of surety that government is now doing something. First, when he's talking about ruling out the possibility of negotiating with bandits and terrorists, this was one of the strategies that was used sometime as a way of stamping out the insurgents. I wonder why, within how many months, as the case may be, it is no longer seen as a strategy. Do you see anything wrong in that?
Yes, thank you very much. Getting to negotiate with bandits, terrorists, is, to say the least, improper. And I want to line up behind the assertions of the National Security Advisor, because even if it comes to negotiation at any point in the future, the nation should be in position to negotiate from the position of its military strength. And of course, Nigeria has a very, very strong military power, should not concede to doing negotiations with mere criminals.
All right, so what do you make of the effort by respectable cleric Sheikh Gumi, who has even been in the forest to meet with the bandits as a way of trying to negotiate with them and speak with them and be the go-between between the government and the people of Nigeria on one hand and the bandits on the other? How would you assess that mission?
Oh, well, I want to believe that Sheikh Gumi went in his capacity as a religious cleric, and that's on the level of ideological intervention. I don't think he was a true representative of the federal government. And that was alluded to by the security advisor at some point in his press conference. If he had been an accredited representative of the government, I'm sure he wouldn't have been there alone. And of course, things would have been done better. However, now I feel that
yeah, go ahead. We can hear you.
Criminals is quite wrong and not the way to go at this moment. We must go the full hog and then weaken and defeat banditry, criminality, and insurgency once and for all.
All right, some people have recommended that Nigeria should seek foreign help or foreign assistance on one hand, and also try to contract mercenaries to help in the fight against terrorists or terrorism and banditry. What do you make of that?
Well, it's hydra-headed. Negotiating, seeking assistance from foreign countries, friendly nations, is quite a nice way to go, because we are in a global environment. And when you have friendly countries that have access to high technology that could assist us, I see no reason why we cannot log into such opportunities and ensure that we are able to defeat insurgency, terrorism once and for all. But for the use of mercenary at this time in history and given the threat profile, I think I say it's a big no from my perspective.
All right, in some quarters, when assistance is sought from other countries, some people see it as a way of admitting that the capacity of the local security agents might not meet up with what is needed to stamp out terrorism. Would that be the case if Nigeria seeks the assistance of friendly nations, like you put it?
Thank you, Mike. Over the years, right from the First and through the Second World Wars, there have always been alliances, leagues, defense pacts, which nations have among themselves, either on bilateral or multilateral basis. So, and of course, since Nigeria's independence, it has been an issue of national pride not to engage in some kind of strong military alliance with countries that we know that have capacity to support us. So it's something we have to decide as a nation right now. Do we want to go down under the threat of our real actions of these insurgents, or we want to develop association with friends that can support us and push back and defeat this insurgency? It's a matter of choice, Mike.
Now, let's talk about the issue of military hardware. We recall that Nigeria had placed order for some Super Tucanos from the United States, and they are being made, and from some of the visuals we get here and there, some of them are being test flown as a way of trying to ensure that they meet specifications. When they get delivered to Nigeria, what difference would that make when it comes to the fight against insurgency that we have had over the years?
Thank you, Mike. The expected acquisitions, especially the Super Tucanos, are expected to invigorate the air effort towards combating terrorism nationwide because of the versatility and reliability of these platforms. But like we all know, military hardware don't come usually off the shelf, especially those ones that come with latest technologies. So the delay in receiving acquisitions are part of the reasons why the efforts to combat these terrorists have been a bit slow and far between. But thank God for the new vigor, the body language of the government now shows zero tolerance to banditry and all forms of criminality. So with the new service chiefs shuttling the nation now to get inputs from all segments of society, I believe that when they hit the ground running, we should be able to get some positive outcomes from this particular effort.
All right, we've been fighting insurgency since the last 11 years, since 2009. And Nigerians have, the government has deployed different measures, different strategies at one point or the other through the administrations that time up until now. Yet we still have the insurgents with us. In fact, these days with the reports we get from different parts of the country, things seem to be escalating sometimes, and then it goes down the other time and all of that. But when it comes to us winning the war against all of this, how much on track are we, if I have to put it that way?
Thank you very much. We are not too far away off the track. The issue of insurgency in Nigeria, as we know historically, became obvious in 2014, and of course by 2019 it became an issue beginning from the northeast, and Maiduguri being the epicenter. Of course, if we had made efforts by declaring total emergency, on that particular, we are not to see it as a problem of the Borno governor or the problem of the Northeast. Every problem, every incursion, every inch of Nigeria should be seen as waging war against the nation, and priorities must be put towards fighting it, and not for every other state to be jostling for resources, trying to build rails when the country is indeed on fire.
All right, now let's talk about the issue of infiltration. Recently, we saw a report on a military officer that was arrested with his girlfriend for, selling or giving arms and uniforms, or camouflage and all of that to bandits and so on. When it comes to the issue of infiltration, especially when our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, had said that the government and even security agents have been infiltrated by Boko Haram. If we consider efforts, things like that, how does this compound the situation, and how do we get rid of such kind of infiltration?
Thank you very much, Mike. If you look at the general landscape of insurgency terrorism in Nigeria, we will understand that that of the Northeast began on an ideological note. And of course, having not succeeded, the insurgents decided to go after, pursue other goals. And of course, that has fanned out to other areas and regions of Nigeria. Now, talking about infiltration, it requires an introspection among all the services, security services, military forces. Indeed, from every community, we must begin to empower traditional rulers, empower local governments to really be on ground, to actually examine the character and quality of the people that exist within the space. So again, when you look at the issue of ex-servicemen being involved in some of these criminalities, I think it's only a few of them, a very, very well-groomed service personnel, will retire with his patriotism still intact. So what the government needs to do is to continue to engage with veterans and indeed use them in support of the fight against criminalities as they retire into various local governments, various spaces in the country. Their skills must continue to be utilized and monitored so that those who have special skills don't succumb to the temptation of going into ranks with criminals in order to survive.
Okay. All right, we have to leave you here now. Commodore Abimbola Ayuba, retired. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Thank you.